This is Melissa Dykes reporting for the Daily Sheeple. All we've heard about this week, all week, is that the Russians hacked the election.
Russian hacking was part of an effort to defeat Hillary Clinton.
Did Russian hacking help sway the election for Donald Trump?
Do you believe Russian hacking could actually change the outcome? Yes!
Then it was Trump knew the Russians hacked the election, and now it's President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in hacking the election. But so far, we've been offered no actual proof of any of it. Surely none of this has anything to do with the fact that the Electoral College is about to vote in just a couple of days, and there's a huge push to get them to switch their votes from Donald Trump.
Republican members of the Electoral College, this message is for you. Our founding fathers built the Electoral College to safeguard the American people from the dangers of a demagogue, and to ensure that the presidency only goes to someone who is to an eminent degree endowed with the requisite qualifications.
An eminent degree.
Here are 5 reasons why the Russian election hacking story is looking more and more like actual fake news. Number 1. If our intelligence agencies really had all this information on Russian election hacking at least a month prior to the election, why didn't they say anything until now? And Josh Earnest, if that even is his real name, said, quote, "It would have been inappropriate for White House figures, including the President of the United States, to be rushing the intelligence community to expedite their analysis of the situation because we're concerned about the negative impact it was having on the President's preferred candidate in the presidential election." Earnest's ridiculous claim that it was because they didn't want to meddle in the political process is downright laughable, because that's all they've done this entire time. In fact, he looks like he's about to laugh throughout the entire press conference. He knows they did everything they could to meddle with it, and the content of the WikiLeaks emails that the mainstream media still refuses to touch with a 10-foot pole proves it. Number 2. All the mainstream media sources to back this claim are unnamed officials. WAPO started it, citing unnamed intelligence sources when referring to a secret CIA assessment. Then again, this is the same outlet that declared most of the alternative media, including the Daily Sheeple, are Russian propagandists in an article many have pointed out is baseless and reeks of the same fake news that the mainstream media has been accusing the alternative media of producing lately. Then NBC kicked the whole agenda up a notch, claiming Putin was personally involved in the Russian hacking.
This morning, NBC News has learned from senior intelligence officials that Russian President Vladimir Putin was personally involved in the campaign to undermine the U.S. election.
Based on more unnamed U.S. intelligence officials, this time calling them senior officials. Ooh. What's next? A leaked picture of Putin sitting at a computer terminal wearing a fake twisty mustache with election results pulled up on screen giggling. But even officials at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence won't get behind the CIA's claims, or supposed claims since no one's seen the report, with Reuters reporting that the Director of National Intelligence official statement is, quote, "ODNI is not arguing that the CIA is wrong, only that they can't prove intent. Of course they can't, absent agents in on the decision-making in Moscow." All of this leads to the next question. Number 3. Why is the CIA's assessment a secret? If they have evidence that Russia hacked our elections, why don't they just produce it for the American public? Or, if it's really such a big hush-hush secret that they must keep it from all the citizens, how come they flat out refuse to at least brief Congress?
Congressman, good to see you tonight. So what does it tell you that these agencies have refused Congress's demand that they show up and share the intel?
Megan, this is absolutely disgraceful. All we've heard from the intelligence community over the last several months is that they could not say that there was any attempt to undermine Hillary Clinton to help Donald Trump. There was nothing at all ever told to us. In fact, they said that they couldn't prove it. As far as I know, there is no decision by the CIA. There is no consensus opinion. This violates all protocols, and it's almost as if people in the intelligence community are carrying out a disinformation campaign against the President-elect of the United States.
Gee, you think? And speaking of that, number 4. Why should anyone believe the CIA when the agency has a decades-long history of doing the exact same thing it's accusing Russia of, meddling in other countries' elections? As The Intercept's Jeremy Scahill and John Schwartz point out, it's also the case that the U.S. has a long history of interfering in other countries' elections, and far worse, the U.S. has overthrown democratically elected governments the world over. I mean, what is this, the takes one to know one principle?
No, you are, but what am I?
And finally, number 5. Look at this accident, derisive air quotes, that plopped out of Josh Earnest's mouth the other day.
The fact that's relevant here is the intelligence community, a month before the election, came forward and presented a unanimous view, a high confidence assessment, that China was engaged in malicious cyber activity to destabilize our political system.
So is it Russia or China that meddled in our elections? This guy, not only can't he keep a straight face, but he can't keep his story straight.
China was engaged in malicious cyber activity to destabilize our political system.
Nice sly smile there, Ernest. If I could roll my eyes any harder right now, I think I might literally go back in time.